Show. It's the Baaaaahbra Show. Coming your way with a smile today. Down the humorous path with a lark and a laugh. It's the Baaaaahbra Show. The Baaaaahbra, the Baaaaahbra, the Baaaaahbra Show. Welcome to Humorous Adventures with Baaaaahbra.
Well, welcome again to the Humorous Adventures with Baaaaahbra. Today, I'm going to talk about maybe it was my worst day. I don't know. People have said, if that's your worst day, boy. Anyway, here's just a story. I went to a party the night before with high-heel cloth shoes. The party happened to be held in a backyard, so my shoes were sinking into the mud and the dirt. So the next day I look at these shoes, and these cloth shoes are destroyed. Either I have to find a cleaner that can clean them, or I have to toss them, and I love those shoes. So I decide the next day after work, I'll bring the shoes to a cleaner that's nearby. As per usual, I don't eat all day, but boy do I eat at night, as you already know. And I'm driving to the cleaners, and I see that they're not going to clean them. They said, no, these shoes are too far gone. We can't clean them. Thought, okay. So I thought, I'm going to treat myself to my favorite Chinese food. And I buy all my favorites, and I put it in my trunk, and now I'm driving. Well, actually, my trunk is really a hatchback, so as I'm driving and stuck in traffic, I'm starving, and I'm smelling all my favorite Chinese food. So you know when you're starving and you're smelling your food, you really want to get home sooner than later to eat it. But I'm stuck, and I'm trying to get home. Finally get home, and I proceed to open up the hatchback to take out the food when, unbeknownst to me, all the juices from the cartons made the paper bag, so wet that when I picked up the food, it just went all over me. I happened to be wearing a nice suit and a silk blouse. So now I'm wearing the food, and okay, let's face it looked like I threw up on myself. Okay. I've got shoes in one hand. I've got the bag with most of the food I'm wearing. I walk up to my front door when I see a sign, and it says, "We are very sorry, but we drilled into your water main, and you won't have water for the next 24 hours. So here I am standing outside my front door with the dirty shoes, with the bag with most of the food on me. And, you know, I thought to myself, I have a choice here. I can laugh or cry, and I just break out laughing while I'm standing outside of my house. Like, if people saw me, they'd think, anyway. I go inside my house, change my clothes, and now proceed to get in my car to go to the cleaners near me to see if they can clean my shoes and also clean my suit that looks like I threw up on myself. And while I'm waiting in line, there happened to be this gorgeous guy standing there, and as I put my clothes on the counter, yeah, I mean, it looked like whatever. I got an opportunity to work at a UK company, and when I would visit them, it was really funny. Of course, I was not driving because of the other side of the road, but even walking across the street, where we in the United States would look like this. If a car's coming, you had to look the other way, or else you'd get slammed. Now, they also liked the fact that they could say they had an office in the United States in Silicon Valley. It happened to be my apartment when I happened to live in Palo Alto. And, you know, I loved working remotely, kept in contact with them all the time. But to do demonstrations for my computer software, I wasn't going to have strange men, or, well, not strange men, but men I didn't know come to my house to do a demo. So there was one guy in San Francisco, and I said, hey, I'll come up to San Francisco. Why don't we meet in the lobby of the W Hotel, and I'll do a demonstration? He goes, great, because the lobby in the W Hotel in San Francisco happens to be really happening. So here I am in my suit and have my computer, and I do the demonstration, and he was very impressed. And then he looked at his watch and he said, "Oh, it's about 5 o'clock. Why don't we just go across the street to the topless bar?" And I'm thinking to myself, what did he just say to me? I look down to see if maybe my buttons are open, if I'm exposing myself. And as these thoughts are going through my head, I'm thinking, I don't care how much this deal is worth. He's not saying that to me, go across the street to a topless bar. So I said to him, "Excuse me, did you just say you want me to go with you across the street to a topless bar?" And he just leans back and has such a belly laugh and starts cracking up. And he said, "I didn't ask you to go across the street to the topless bar. I asked you to go across the street to a tapas bar." Well, being from Boston, I never heard that term tapas. I now know that tapas is a Spanish appetizer. Well, who knew? He said, "Oh, this is so funny. Can I call my wife? She's got to join us. You're a big laugh." Well, needless to say, he called his wife. We went across the street to the tapas bar, and we had a good time. Now, working for this UK company, I was in charge of getting all these deals in the United States, and I got this big opportunity with a large retail chain in New York City. And since I lived in California and we had this big promotion going on as a pilot for 12 retail stores in the city, they put me up in a hotel near Times Square, really nice area hotel. And I was there like 3 weeks out of the month. I would only go home to pay my bills and then come back. So with one of these promotions, they actually thought it would be funny, and it was, for me to walk around in front of some of these stores and have this cardboard thing to wear on front and back. And since I was wearing a skirt, you see my head, and it was summertime. You could see my bare arms, and you could see my legs. And it looked like when I was walking around that I was naked. But of course, I was wearing a skirt and blouse. I had the promotion on me. But that was pretty funny. But as I was walking around all these retail stores, I really got my exercise. But it happened. It was summertime on the hottest day of the year. It was one of New York's longest blackouts. And of all the day to have a blackout because it's so hot. But luckily for me, I was in walking distance to my hotel. And right next door to my hotel was this great restaurant that I would frequent all the time. I was a regular. And the other thing about being a regular at this restaurant, what they did is they had caricatures of all their regulars, famous people sometimes, and they were going to put me on the wall because I was there so much. So because I was in walking distance of my hotel, I was walking by the restaurant, and it turns out, well, even in the blackout, they had a generator, which meant they had air conditioning, they had the TV, and they had food. So everybody was trying to get into this restaurant, and the guy outside, like a bouncer, was saying, "Oh, you can come in, and you can come in." And the reason I could come in, it was kind of like a Studio 54 thing. It didn't matter how long you were waiting in line. It was who you knew. And because they knew me, they let me come in. And so I was sitting at the bar with a lot of other people. The TV was there. We could see different things going on. The people you had to really feel bad for was the people in the subway station down below that got stuck inside these subway cars. And they were stuck there for hours, probably crammed into people. But it was really nice to see that in those kind of situations, just regular citizens, were directing traffic, and everybody was really kind to each other. It really was touching. The UK company and my family, I know, because they heard about the blackout, they knew I was there, and they're thinking, should we be worried about Barbara being alone in New York City during a blackout, or maybe should New York City be worried that Barbara's out there? Anyway, everything worked out well. And another time that I was in New York, a whole group of us for business stayed at a particular hotel because we wanted to check out this club that was the club to be at. And, there was always a line to get in. But if you were staying at the hotel, you could just walk right in. Well, we were all working and were very busy. And on the last night, most of the other people had left, but I had time to check out the club. So that night, even though people were waiting, even the line into the place, I proceeded to walk straight through because I was staying there. And these two guys were sitting on a bench, and they ran up to me before I was to go in, and they said, "Can you get us in?" And I said, "Well, what's in it for me?" And they said, "Well, we'll buy you some drinks." I said, "Well, okay." So I get them in, and as we sit down, one of the guys happened to be an artist because he had all these markers and things. And I loved having my caricature drawn. I'm so fascinated because I can't draw anything. And in a matter of seconds, these artists can, accentuate, they always accentuate my hair, my mouth, and maybe my eyes. And I love to see what they see. So I said to him, "Hey, forget buying me drinks, draw my caricature." And he said, "I only do alligators." And I said, "What do you mean you only do alligators? I got you in here. Draw my caricature. You're an artist, aren't you?" He goes, "Yes, but my trademark is I only do alligators." He goes, "Don't worry. I'm going to draw you an alligator." On a white cocktail napkin, plain white cocktail napkin, in a matter of minutes, he drew this. It's me as an alligator in New York City with a Cosmo. I got this matted and framed, and you would not be able to tell it's a cocktail napkin. He even signed it with his name, artist piece. Now, being in New York City, a lot of the times the taxi driver would say, "Where you want to go?" And there's an old song by Petula Clark, and I always wanted to respond this way. So when a taxi driver would say, "Where do you want to go?" I say, "I want to go downtown, downtown. When you're alone and life is making you lonely, you can always go downtown." I'll spare you me singing the rest of the song. Now, I like to say things for a reaction sometimes, or just to say something. And, I once talking to this guy, I said, "Oh, and it's very groovy." And he had a funny look on his face, but then he thought he should let me know. And he told me, "I just have to tell you that the word groovy has gone out of style." And I knew his intention was to let me know that I may be embarrassing myself by saying some words that are out of style. So it touched my heart. Inside, I'm dying laughing because, of course, I knew, and I just like saying groovy. But it touched my heart that he wanted to let me know that.
It's the Baaaaahbra Show. It's the Baaaaahbra Show. Coming your way with a smile today. Down the humorous path with a lark and a laugh. It's the Baaaaahbra Show. The Baaaaah, the Baaaaah.